So here we are with Luke Blue Eagle, and we're in your home in the beautiful north of Quebec City in the Laurentian Mountains. It is June, and it's absolutely stunning. And I just want to say thank you for inviting us into your home.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And so you have been a musician, a healer, a storyteller. There's so much to who you are. What is it that you want people to know like more about? Like, what is it that you want people to understand about who you are as a person?
Well, as a person, I'm not all that important. It's not, I mean, there's successive waves of people on earth and they come and go. It's what needs to be remembered is who we are as a humanity, and that is that we are spiritual beings in evolution towards higher life forms. And it's a process, it's a long process, it's thousands of lives of learning and going back to the spirit world and reflecting on what we did right, what we did wrong, and coming back to correct karma and continue our evolution. And the main thing that I've learned throughout my life, because I started very, very young, reflecting on these things. I was very young when I started meditating on all this. I was 4 years old when I had my first realization and started reflecting profoundly on the situation that I saw in the world that did not feel right. And everything has been confirmed since then on my earlier intuitions and feelings and observations. And the thing about it is that we are in a perfect world. Everything is perfect. And that by trying to change the perfection, by going into more technology, trying to make things better where they don't need to be better, we're actually harming ourselves and we're harming the world. We're going in a way, the simple way of explaining it is that when you don't use a muscle, well, it gets atrophied. It doesn't work anymore. It disappears, literally, you know. And so by using all this machinery to do things for us, well, we're getting weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker on all levels. On a spiritual level, on a mental level, on an emotional level. It's terrible what we're doing to ourselves. People don't relate to anything anymore. They relate to machines. And physically, it's a disaster all over the place. You know, they think it's progress, but it's not. A simple example is that when Europeans arrived in North America, the land was pristine, there was animals everywhere, everything was pure, the people were very healthy, they would live very long lives, twice as long as the Europeans that arrived here. And that's one of the things that the Jesuit remarks in their writings, that they were dead at 40, 50 years, and these Indians were living to 90, 100, 110, 120 years. And then studies were made, you know, about, I think it was 30 years ago, on the diseases that were there before the Europeans arrived, and they found about 86. Mostly lung and eyes, because of the smoke and the humidity here in the south and northeast. And if you look at the medical books today, there's hundreds of thousands of diseases. So that's another example. You know, I could find examples all the way till tomorrow on how by trying to perfect our already perfect world, we're actually damaging ourselves and we're polluting an environment. In the last decade, we've killed at about 80% of all living beings on the planet. And that's not sustainable, you know. And what the people are saying, well, we're going to go live on other planets. And that's the stupid thing to do, you know.
When you were growing up as a young child, because you said that you were from the age of 4, you were already in contact with the spirits. You already had a lot of your abilities come online. From your experience, what was your childhood like in terms of like the family? Did you have a closeness with the land? Like did you live in that kind of environment growing up?
They didn't have that consciousness, but they were from. They both had my parents had Native ancestry, so it was ingrained in them,
Okay.
but they were not in that consciousness.
Okay.
So like they always had a garden.
Mm-hmm.
It was always there, and they loved doing canoe camping,
Okay.
and we would go camping with them nearly every summer.
Mm-hmm.
It was just what they needed to relax, but their life was not based on these principles
Mm-hmm.
because they had been brought up in a white society with white values, Christian values, where all these things are negated.
Okay.
And although family is well established in Christ, there's a lot of beautiful Christian values,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also a lot of things that happened that are not right.
Mm-hmm.
The true spirituality needs to come from the land
Yeah.
because Creator Spirit created everything in nature, and there are no lies in nature. Everything is true. An animal will never lie to you. A plant will never lie to you. They'll always display
Mm-hmm.
the original instructions that Created put in creation. So if you're looking at that and you're working at that, you're in truth.
Mm-hmm.
But the technology is creating an alternate
Mm-hmm.
synthetic artificial world where that no longer applies, and that's creating havoc.
Do you find, and that's I guess in a regular city where people are reliant on technology, do you find that young Indigenous people, Native American people, are maybe returning back to the land? Because I think from your generation, it's clear that there was a lot of forced, like for example, the residential schools and all that horrible nightmare that happened to people of Indigenous background, had to live through that horrible nightmare. Now, with people becoming aware of that and being aware that they have Indigenous culture and that it's okay, it's not that there's something wrong with you, that it's okay to go and reflect back to your culture. Do you find that young Indigenous people are going back to becoming more closer to the land or community? You see that in the...
It's mixed.
Okay.
There's both.
It's both? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some want to go back to their ancestral ways of life, but it's difficult.
Okay.
It's difficult because the tendency is not there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the tendency is not there.
Okay.
As far as surviving in this world where you need money to survive. Money is a form of technology,
Yes.
and that's the first technology that was created to really enslave humanity.
Yeah. To dehumanize, I think, also as
To
well.
enslave.
Yeah.
It was literally to enslave people so that they would be controllable.
That's,
Yes,
yeah.
many years ago.
Yeah, that's for sure. So getting back to being a teenager, it must have been kind of challenging, kind of navigating between the two worlds. But you managed to make it happen. And I know that we talked about when you were growing up, that you were learning music as you were growing up. How was it with you, like for example, with like your friends at school, or your relation to teachers, or did you have any people that you looked up to when you were growing up as a teenager?
Sure.
Yeah.
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 Some of the teachers were okay, not many.
Okay.
Uh, so many funny stories
Mm-hmm.
because I was already a rebel there. I was always, speaking up against the wrong things I saw.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's this one teacher who was teaching math. And when he was teaching math, he was excellent. He was very, very interesting. But as soon as he departed from that, he was a horrible person. He probably been in the army, yeah. I remember he had been in the army. So he tried to treat the children as if they were in the army. That just didn't work. And so since he had this powerful sense of discipline, they put him as the director of the school.
Oh, God.
And that was a bad decision, you know. And so the whole school rebelled against him.
Really?
Yeah, and they decided that they didn't like it. And this one day, all of the school spontaneously refused to go back into class.
Wow.
It was in the winter, and they were all in the cafeteria, and they were refusing to go to class. And here he was this teacher, you know, this very aggressive teacher in the front with his microphone, telling them to go into class, you know, and, you know, just screaming at them with zero result, you know. And so I go up to because he had been my math teacher, I go up to him and said, give me the microphone, I'll talk to them.
Okay.
Yeah, he refused.
Oh.
Okay, so I went up into the middle of the room, I climbed up on a table, and I says, what are you contesting here? What's your manifestation about? No answer, because, you know, they were just rebelling against this atmosphere, you know, that he was putting all these regulations, and there were so many things, but there was nothing precise, you know. So I asked them 2 times, you know, what's the contestation here? What's the manifestation about? No answer. I says, go back to your classes. Everybody walked back to class.
Oh.
Simple as that, you know.
Okay, there you go.
And so, the director calls me into his office after that. And so I sit down in front of him. He was red in the face. He was mad like hell, but he had nothing to say. He realized at that moment that there's nothing he could say to me.
Absolutely.
So I just walked back out, you know.
That's power in silence, eh? That's real power. You know, you don't have to yell and scream, because it shows that the yelling and screaming didn't work. It doesn't work.
It's not that's the educational system is the wrong educational system that's in the world today is based on reward and punishment.
Yes.
So it's coming from the outside. And it has to come from the within. Because, for example, if a person understands that doing wrong, they'll get punished, but they don't get punished if they don't get caught, they just get really good at not getting caught.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you punish them by sending them to prison, well, they're in a perfect school to learn how
Even
not
more.
to get caught.
Yeah.
You know, so the criminality just goes up and up
Yeah.
and up. It's not going nowhere. It has to come from within. And one of the things that was noticed is that a beautiful study was done by a very powerful Murray. He was a lawyer and a judge, a native. And says before residential school, when the people were still in their communities and learning the traditional way, they were underrepresented in the penal system. There was a lot fewer Native people by percentage of the population in prison. There was hardly any of them anywhere. You know, it was really very low. And often it was injustice also, you know, they were wrongly accused.
Yes, absolutely.
But after the residential schools, where they were taught by reward and punishment, there more Native people, then the percentage is way above the normal population who are used to this way of living, you know. So it doesn't work. This way of relating with life in civilization is not working.
Yeah.
It's creating wars, it's creating corruption, it's creating pollution, it's creating disease.
So I guess by the time you were in your 20s, you had already studied at University of Laval, you'd studied music, you graduated from music. So by the time you were in your early 20s, where did you see your life, where did you see yourself wanting to go with your life at that point?
I was searching.
Okay.
Yeah, I hit the road when I was about 25 years old
Okay.
to try to find
Okay.
what I was, everything that I was feeling, and I knew it was amongst the native people, but where? Because everything had been destroyed,
Mm-hmm.
and the destruction was multi-generational, and it was everywhere. So it took a while for me to find the elders that could teach. And then I was on that path and
Mm-hmm.
never stopped.
Yeah, but while you were on the road, were you as a touring musician? Like, what were you doing while you were on the road?
Everything I could, I was a cherry picker, apple picker,
Oh,
and
really? Okay.
musician on the corner of the street,
Okay.
whatever we could do to survive, yes.
Did you travel around, like, as a young man to like different parts of the states and learning different types of music? Like, were there any adventures for Luke
Many
Rudebow?
adventures all across Canada, part of the US also, yes.
Yeah, that's great. And did you pick up any musical influences along the way? Because I know sometimes when you were playing, you were playing a little bit of blues. I mean, you were playing, obviously at this point in your life, you have a very, very specific, um, Indigenous musical tradition. But were you playing other types of music at the time while you were on the road?
Mostly my songs.
Most of your songs?
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't pick up too much from other influences,
Mm-hmm.
except, of course, Native American music therapy, which is my primary interest there.
Mm-hmm.
But no, but we did a lot of jamming, of course, with
Okay.
friends, and so that's where the blues comes from a lot, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you met while you were traveling across Canada and the United States. Did you meet with other Native American groups? I mean, other councils, other different tribes. Did you meet with other groups as
Yeah,
well?
lots of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was your experience in meeting the other groups, the other Indigenous
Well,
groups?
there's a lot of misery,
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of them were on Skid Row. A lot of them were lost. A lot of them were sick. But the sense of community, the sense of fellowship, was always there.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a truth about them, that an underlying truth of community, fidelity, being true to oneself and to the other, that you don't find amongst white people as much.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain communities that have that, but it's ingrained, it's inbred, it's part
Mm-hmm.
of our way of life for many millennia.
Mm-hmm.
So you, even after several generations of residential schools where it's trying to be tortured out of them,
Mm-hmm.
it's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still there. But of course, they still are confronted with a world that the principles of the world and the educational system of the world is contrary to that way of life.
Mm-hmm.
So many of them are,
Mm-hmm.
on a downward path, losing that, and others are trying to go into that. But it's complicated. It's
Yeah.
really a very complicated world, and the the main message that we need to convey to people is simply being who they are, and simply being with the land. Everything is there and everything is perfect. We don't need to make it better. We just need to learn
Mm-hmm.
how it is. We need to learn about the plants, we need to learn about the animals, and the best way to learn is not in the books, it's with people who are doing it
Mm-hmm.
or being in it.
Mm-hmm.
We already have everything that we need within us. We don't need to go any farther. But to learn what it is that we are is very complicated because it's covered up with conditioning, with programming, with preconceptions, with education, with our busy thoughts, and our mixed up emotions, and our physical problems, and our lack of spirituality. So all that makes it very complicated. But if we just rest with it, let it be, and just be simply there for long periods of time, spending days and days in nature, and having not much to do except just taking care of the land in any way that we're able or capable, things will become much simpler, and we'll start to see clearly. Because nature is never going to lie to you, and it's always the truth. And the reality of all the galaxies is contained in every leaf, in every twig, in every animal, in every insect. It's all there. That's where you can truly learn, because they have to learn from within. It has to be a feeling that comes from within. This is my truth. And you can't get that in a book, and you can't get that from any kind of teaching except from long traditions. Go to these spiritual traditions that are ancient, not the young stuff, the
New Age and
yes, there's good there someplace, but it has to be anchored into the ground. And that's why all of the indigenous teachings all over the world, I've traveled in many countries, and I've been in gatherings of shamans and medicine people coming from all continents, and we all speak the same language. It's all the same truth because it comes from the land. It's united with the land, and the land is true. The land is real. The land it's creation. So it's Creator's law. So that's where we need to go. And you can find that simply being anywhere, anytime, because you are you. So even in a car, if you just settle down, relax, just be there. That's all you need. That you will finally come to understanding who you truly are if you remain in a non-contrived, non-influenced, non-conditioned, non-programmed way of being, just being yourself.
yeah.
That's all is needed. And then from within, you'll have the true understanding, oh, okay, family. Oh, okay, nature. It'll come from within. That's the true thing. Stop looking without.
Yeah.
Look within.
Yeah, but it's interesting because so much of this world is based on looking outside, but that's a control mechanism in many ways. Because if you look within yourself, then the powers that be can't control you. And so a lot of the technology and a lot of the the AI and the Facebook and all that kind of stuff is there to get you outside of yourself so that you don't listen to the inner voice, I guess, like you're saying. That's there for you. And so, but at some level, I'd like to think that some people are beginning to wake up from that. I mean, they may not have the exact same anchoring of tradition, but I think a lot of people are starting to wake up and say, yeah, maybe I need to put all that technology away in order to be myself and to have less mental stress and mental health issues. In terms of, let's say, by the time you're in your 30s and 40s, you've already at this point been traveling a bit with your music and your traditions. You went to Europe for a while, didn't you?
I went to teach
To
to
teach in Europe.
Europe
Yeah.
many times.
And what were you teaching in Europe?
Native spirituality and healing.
Okay. And would you say that your experiences in Europe are different from what you experienced here in the West? In terms of interest, like you went to Germany, you went to different parts of
People
Europe.
were more interested in a more profound way because they had lost more.
Okay.
The destruction in Europe is way more advanced than here.
Okay.
Because people are closer to nature here. There's more nature. People are more crowded in Europe. The Inquisition of the Catholic Church killed off all of the wisdom keepers of those countries. They burned them at the stake or whatever. They got rid of them. They did not want any form of knowledge that was not the church. And so they fabricated a narrative where these people were devil worshippers or whatever and killed them. So all of the wisdom keepers, some of them survived by hiding, but of course then the teaching is not available, it's hidden. So That's the big difference. Here they tried to do the same thing. They outlawed the native tradition in the United States and in Canada for many years.
Yes.
And then they put them all through residential school. But it's more recent. And I think there's a stronger presence of nature. It's not as destroyed, it's not as populated as here, as in Europe. So the need was stronger. Hello, my name is Luke Blue Eagle. I'm a Métis shaman from Abenaki, Pawnee, Algonquin, and French Canadian heritage. We're here in Lac Beauport at the Centre de l'Être in a yurt, and it's raining a little bit, so we're hearing the raindrops on the canvas. It's wonderful. And we're going to start this musical biography and introduction to the Native American music therapy principles and the way I have translated it for today's world with an opening ceremony. I always begin with opening ceremony to honor and invite our ancestors. So with the liquid smudge, I'll be giving some offering, and we will proceed with the opening chant, ancestors chant. And if you want to sing with me, you're invited to do that. And what that will do is will invite, open the door for the invitation that your ancestors can come and assist you in whatever intention you have at this time.
magic light, I flew away on the wings of time, kissing you goodbye. I headed for some peace of mind, flowing like the water, the river and the stream, flying like a weatherman in everybody's dreams. Hey! Praise the light, man, praise the light. Praise the light, it loves us all. Bless the earth, man, bless the earth. Bless the earth, she loves us all. Know that the world is like a lonely corridor, blood and sweat on the floor, locked and heavy doors. Knowing that the natural people are so very few, riding pure through the storm, they shall free the world. Love is the only way, my love. Love is for the pure. Love yourself first of all, then just toss the ball. Hey! Praise the light, man, praise the light. Praise the light, it loves us all. Bless the earth, man, bless the earth. Bless the earth, she loves us all. Weatherman, weatherman, flying through the storm. Weatherman, weatherman, flying through the storm. Like an eagle through the wind, the spirit now is born. Like a spirit through the wind, an eagle now is born. Hey. Ma, 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 hey. Ma, 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 hey. So we've got beautiful rain percussion in the song.
It's nice. It's very nice. It's very nice. I have to say.
Hey nickety, hey wanna, hey nickety, hey wanna, Hatimana, hey wanna, Hatimana, hey wanna, hey nickety, hey wanna, hey nickety, hey wanna, Hatimana, hey wanna, Hatimana, hey wanna, hey nickety, hey wanna, hey nickety, hey wanna, Hatimana, hey wanna, Hatimana, hey wanna. Hey nickety, hey wanna, hey nickety, hey wanna, Hatimana, hey wanna, Hatimana, hey wanna, hey nickety, hey wanna, hey nickety, hey wanna, Hatimana, hey wanna, Hatimana, hey wanna.
we can continue.
So when I realized that we had native ancestry at the first day when I left the family home to reside in Quebec City to go to university, that first night when the ancestors came in my dreams, and I realized who I was, I called home and I asked, how come we never spoke of this, that we had native ancestry? And they had nothing to answer. And I continued examining the question and looking into what we call the Temple of Understanding, where all the history of all things is recorded, and found that actually there was, it was incredible destruction that happened when the Europeans came to North America. It's been documented that 90% of the indigenous population died out in the first years of contact through the many diseases that the white people were carrying. Because we were very healthy, there was hardly any diseases. There was only about 80 diseases in all, compared to the hundreds of thousands of one we'll find today. And so these contagious diseases that the white people were carrying, for which we had no antibodies, it wiped out 90% of the population. And then the greed of the colonizers, who wanted to have it all for themselves and considered us as subhuman. They even got the Pope to write a papal bull that said that we didn't have souls, so that we could be treated like you wanted. They could do whatever, like animals. We could be treated like animals. And that comes from the Vatican, right? And the people that came were proclaiming Christianity, that this was the one true way that should be respected, and the one and only faith that was valid. And so the destruction continued and continued. And what I saw when I examined the Akashic records, the Temple of Understanding, is that in a band of over 125 families, there was only 2 left alive. And so what they decided is to assimilate into the white culture. There was one of the genocidal policies of the Canadian government was that you could abandon being native and become white. And so they took a French name and they stopped talking about everything native to survive, And so over the generations, it slowly got completely ignored until I came around. And then there was a lot of more realizations about that. And so I completely assumed that identity, and I headed out onto the road as soon as I was ready to meet with the native elders. At the beginning, I didn't know there was native elders. You know, I did my crazy years on the road until I did find, okay, this is what I'm looking for, and started training. And after 8 years of training, I was getting requests to teach, and I started teaching. And one of the first things that astounded me was that as soon as I started teaching, I started getting attacked by all kinds of people. I'm there to try to help people come back to health and wisdom and help them to connect to what's true and real, and I'm getting attacked. And one of the first times that this happened to me, or the second time that it was fairly vicious, I called my elder, and the first time what she says is, look within. What does Creator say? What is Creator telling you? Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? And the answer came through like clear as a bell. Yes, I should continue what I'm doing. So I continued. And then the second really vicious attacks that came in, called her again and says, oh, okay, this is even more powerful what they're attacking. You must be doing really good work. And that's what we've noticed, you know. All of the great spiritual teachers in this technocratic, civilized way of life get crucified. You know, they get attacked, they get defamed, they get trouble, they get attacked by the law, by the doctors, by everything. Because this civilization is not interested in truth. And one of the first things that you'll notice if you study the scientific approach, you'll see that an enormous amount of what is claimed to be scientific knowledge is bullshit. It has no premise for reality, and that's proven. There's a lot of Native people who have written about this, and one of the most powerful books about that was written by Vine Deloria Jr. You can look it up. He completely destroys everything that's been said about Native people with scientific fact, and showing how the establishment holds on to those facts because it gives them a justification for being here. But it's not real. It's just lies. So that was fairly difficult. And with time, I did come to because in the beginning I knew so very clearly who I was, I did not feel that I needed any outside justification or certification of who I was. But with time, I found out that I really needed that as a method of defense. So I went and got my Métis cards to tell the world, yeah, this is my heritage, this is my tradition. You will not stop me from doing that. And so the rain is coming now. Very beautiful, soothing sound of nature. So yeah, I've continued up to now, and I've got very, very violent attacks by the Canadian government, and that's a whole other story, which I'll tell some other time. You good? You good? Okay. Yes, so my music experience began in hospitals, actually, because when I was young, I was very sick. From the age of 4 on, I spent a lot of time in the hospital. And as my parents were very, very busy, they did not have a lot of opportunity to come and see me. So I was quite alone. And so I was very attentive to everything that was happening around me. And I noticed two things. They had an intercom, and when they would put music on the intercom, I would feel better. And I would notice that the people around me were different. They seemed to be more at ease. It was slight, subtle, but it was there. And it was also great, for have something for my mind to dwell upon. And then another opportunity came when there was a person washing the floors. And he was looked like a very healthy man, advanced in years, but he was singing all the while he was cleaning the floors. And that I noticed, was even stronger than the music on the intercom. It really uplifted the vital energy. And I could see that by doing this himself, he was keeping himself very healthy. So those were two things that I noticed. And I had the opportunity to take a few singing lessons when I was young. And then towards the grade 3 in primary school, they were going around for the Lions Band to see talent in the schools. So I did their test, and it came out that I did have talent. So I was accepted in the band, and I started with percussions, which is perfect, really. And so I learned the rudiments of reading rhythm on the snare drum, and then we moved to the Quebec province. I was in Saskatchewan before that. And then I lost the band. And I also was very impressed with what the Beatles were doing, so I got interested by the guitar and, of course, the flute because of school. And I loved playing on the recorder. And from there, gradually, I decided, and I remember very well when I decided that I would go into music. That would be the profession I would choose. And so went into mostly classical guitar in high school, and then went to university, and that's when the ancestors came in my dreams, and I realized what the path I was to walk was a spiritual path, and I had to find the elders that could teach me. And but music was very useful in all of that. It was just a perfect training to come into that, because music is a part of everything we do in the ceremonies and in healing and in everything. It was just perfect. And so then I had a good, intellectual training in music, and then I got the training through meeting with elders and seeing how they would work with sound and music to help and to heal. And from that time on, I've always been working with this, using the tools I've learned, and did a series of albums with each of them a specific music therapy intention. All shamanic traditions in the world, they all use the drum, because that's the basic frequency that grounds you so that you can fly. Like one of my elders, when I was beginning on the path, he says, if you want to put your head in the sky, you've got to ground your feet into the earth first. And that way you won't get lost, and you'll know where to come back to. You won't lose any parts of yourself, because that is part of the danger that I've noticed in a lot of the New Age stuff that isn't grounded, especially this one time when I was working with two people who were doing channeling. when they finished doing their channeling, their energy field was completely out of whack. They had holes in their etheric web. It was really unhealthy, and they weren't open to me talking to them about that. There's wisdom in the ancient ways, and these are very ancient ways because they go back countless generations of passing on wisdom. And one thing about the wisdom streams that unites all Indigenous people across the earth is that it's a living wisdom. It's alive. It's tradition that is passed on by word of mouth. Thus, when you pass it on, you also have the emotions and the feelings of the person passing it on to you, and that's why you can remember it intact, because it is inscribed in everything. Even if the sound that we hear of the drops of rain on the canvas of the roof of this yurt, there's intelligence in there. It's not random. There's a rhythm there, and it speaks to us of the basic laws of the universe, and everything in nature is like that. That's what's different from what people are hearing in the cities. Because I remember this one study, as I've studied music therapy my whole life, this one study on sound, because sound in itself has an effect on people. And this one study had studied the level of sound pollution in the cities and the level of mental illness. And the diagram was the same. As the sound pollution was going up, mental illness was following the same curve in the diagrams. That was interesting, but it's something that's completely natural for us to understand. We don't need a study to know that. So, those are a few wisdom pearls to share with you today. Good?
Yeah, we're good to
Perfect?
go. Okay. You wanted to do that. Okay, so now we are going to be talking about Luke Blue Eagle and the CDs that he's released. So Luke, can you tell me about the first CD you released?
Yes, it was chants in the Native American tradition. It was done with the lady who was actually no, that's the second edition of that same CD. It was with a German company. I had taught in Germany and Austria, and they were doing a series on music therapy from around the world, and I was to represent Native American. And so the first one that we recorded was different chants from different traditions that I had learned. And the basic fundamental benefit of listening to this CD will be reconnecting to one's roots. The foundation of every person is with the ancestors, with one's ancestors. That's pretty neglected today in a people's upbringing, but in still today, in all indigenous nations throughout the world, there are always ways to commemorate the ancestors. The ancestors are our foundation, and we constantly receive energy from them. It's an illusion to think that because the body has died, that the mind and soul is not still working. And our ancestors are always a part of us, and many of them are willing from spirit world to come and help us in our work. So this grounding energy, as it's very ancient in Native American lineage,
going back 127,500 years, helps people to ground into their own physical body and timeline here with reference to their own ancestors. So it's an energy that is a connection with one's ancestors. That's the main focus of listening to this CD. And over the years, I've noticed that the children really appreciate this CD quite a bit. Earth Drums was with the same team in England. I was recorded here in Quebec, of course, with a very... Serge Sanson was my sound engineer, a very, very good man with very good ears and good equipment. And the basis for this recording is concentration. Every time when I was in training, we were doing meditation exercises, telepathy exercises, or different types of spiritual work. There would always be a drum going and a rattle going at the same time to help us to concentrate, to give us that one pointed focus of mind on the exercise or work. And that's also why people who practice shamanic journeying always have a drum. It anchors them so that they can fly. And so this is the basic focus. There's several drums. There, the one giving the basic beat is a very rapid beat. It's the water drum. It's a special drum that has water in it, and the skin over it is wet. And so it has many overtones. It's a very sacred drum. And then there are hand drums and rattle to accompany that. And there's two pieces that are 29 minutes each. And so that you can be with it a long time. And this first one is called Ceremony. And it has a little bit of voice in the beginning to set the tone of a ceremony, in the middle to anchor it in that moment, and at the end to bring it about a conclusion. And it's just a mantra of Tanith Kumite Negichi Manto, which means I am united with and grateful for Great Spirit. And the second one, there's no voice. To have one without no voice, it's a little bit simpler in its way, so it's really called Shaman's Journey for just, concentration and any kind of one-pointed focus of work that we want to do. Now, Sky Songs is with this instrument as the basic, with pentatonic scale, and then I added on other instruments, and then when all of the instruments have been added on, except for the flute, then I added on the voice. So there's the guitar, there's two kinds of guitars actually on that. And of course the European zither. And then I listened to that, got inspired, the words came out, and then I sang it. The words, not in all of them, but there's a few that have singing. In the middle, there's one that's 20 minutes long. Each of these has one that's 20 minutes long, so that we can really, in one piece of music, have the time to really reach the alpha state of brain waves, to go into deep meditation, deep healing, whatever is needed at that time. So there's always a central piece in this that's 20 minutes long, and that has voice. And then I added the flute to accompany the voice. And so there was percussion and the native percussion, of course. And the focus of this was really relaxation. I wanted to bring people to a place of inspiration and relaxation so that they could, you know, in French we say lâcher prise, let go. Really let go of everything that we don't need and be renewed by those spirals of light. The pentatonic scale, especially with this European zither, it creates spirals of light that will turn around our body and help to clear out the meridians so that we're healthier. And so if you can relax and let the music do its work, these CDs, especially the first times we listen to them, should be listened to without doing anything else. And preferably not with headphones or earpieces, but really so that the speakers can send the whole frequency and vibration into the body. So with speakers, it would be better, especially the first times. And then with time, when your body recognizes it and you start to be accustomed to it, it will do the work even if you're busy doing something else. So that's sky songs. And the vastness of the sky is what is portrayed there in the music. So it's very wide, very open, very relaxed, really letting go, just being. Spirit Songs is taking it up a level from Sky Songs. It's the same process, starting with the European zither that forms the basis, then adding the other instruments, and then adding the voice, adding the flute. And but this time a more dynamic, really more dynamic rendering, so that here we could, from Sky Songs, move on to Spirit, where we're incarnating and manifesting in the physical what our life path is to be. So there's a focus, powerful focus on what inspiration brings to us, how it brings flowering of our potential for the greater good of all being, and the peace and serenity that should emanate from that, so that we can be inspired to do good for all our relations. So that's the main focus of the music, which is composed, you know, like the Sky Songs. It's all improvisation from one end to another. So the basic is the European zither, because it really fills in the sound space, and then I add to all that.
Swan songs is to help people connect with nature. So it's only flute with nature sounds. So I went to a place up in the Laurentian Mountains with my sound engineer and recorded the birds in the early morning and in the evening. So we got there in the evening, we recorded the bird sounds, and then the next morning we recorded the bird sounds. And we also recorded the sound of water, of wind, and of fire. In the middle there's sounds of fire. Some people think it's static, but it's really the evergreen boughs sparkling in the sparkling sound in the fire. And then we came back to the studio, and then I played flute inspired by the birds, and the nature sounds, the wind, the fire, and did a whole series. I think there's 19 different flute sounds there, and then I listened to them to see what was coming out of that, and I gave them titles. But it's one long soundtrack from beginning to end with different things. And so that focus is really helping people connect with nature. This is the spirit singing you might have heard, where you, with one sound of the voice, you create another sound. So by creating a second sound from a first bass note, what's called harmonics, you help to elevate the spirit into other dimensions. So this CD is a whole CD of these sounds, harmonic singing, what we call spirit singing. And this is for meditation. This is to bring yourself to higher levels of consciousness, higher levels of being. And so this is not to be listened to in the car. I found that out the night I recorded it, when I was coming back in the beginning of the evening from my studio from Serge Places. And we had recorded that during the day. So I put it in the car, I had it playing, and within 5 minutes I noticed that I was driving with my eyes closed.
Oh.
So I took it right out, says, at some other time. And I always advise people not to put it in the car, because it brings you to that other place where you're more with your spirit, so your eyes not needed anymore, and so it's not very prudent. It's very strange sounds for people that are not used to it. It's not something to go and play in the house with other people. It's something you really need to listen to get used to this kind of spirit singing. So it's a meditation tool. So Serenity is the same basis and the same way it was made as sky songs and spirit songs, with the European zither as the basic, and then I worked on it a little bit more, even wrote out sections so I could adapt to
guitar and the flute to follow the zither more closely, because what I wanted with this one is to be able to enhance the life force more strongly for people who work in therapy, like to play during people doing massage therapy or kinesiotherapy or orthotherapy or whatever, polarity or whatever kind of therapy they're giving people. They can play this CD so that it will slowly elevate the energy field. But since it's for therapy, there's no voice, so that it remains neutral, because voice always colors in a very specific way with your energies. So in therapy, you don't want that. You want neutral ground, so that it's the therapist that's putting in his specific kind of energy. So this is for enhancing the life force.
And for the CD Aigle Bleu sur la guitare, what was your focus for that?
I wanted to record my guitar music. That was the main focus. My passion since I'm an adolescent is for the classical guitar, and I've composed a few pieces. I'm not very prolific, but I have a few. And I'm also good at improvising on the guitar, although it's very difficult on the guitar more than other instruments. There's part of it, I'd say there's about half of it that's improvised. I gave titles to them, but they're still improvised. And I just wanted to have a CD of my guitar playing, because that's what I practice the most, and it's the most difficult. And you have a very special relationship with the guitar. You're holding it close like a lady, you know, so you have a very special relationship with the guitar, and that's recognized throughout the ages. It's one of the most popular instruments in the world because of that. And it's very versatile. And when I got the recording, I brought it home, and I went into my easy chair, and I listened to it. And I was so relaxed at the end of that I went to bed and I slept for 2 hours. And so I passed the CD to my daughter and says, listen to this, tell me what happens. She listened to it, she was so relaxed, she went to bed and she slept 2 hours. So deep relaxation, this CD. But I remember when I was still in high school practicing my guitar in the evening after school, that the neighbors appreciated that. And when I left to go to study music at the university, my mother said that the neighbors were complaining they were having a hard time getting to sleep because they could no longer hear this music, you know. So that's also confirmed. There's some kind of energy that comes through my classical guitar that's very, very relaxing. So that's a deep relaxation CD or album.